interesting thing just happened.
Yeah, tell
uh,
us about it.
Fujifilm announced slash released for pre-order a new camera. This camera is screaming Fujifilm vibes, all the vibes, but it's very controversial immediately, and it also has immediately sold out. So there's a lot to talk
Absolutely.
about when it comes to this little camera. I've used it just for that note. I got invited to a Fujifilm event in Los Angeles, and I got to have hands on with it for about 2 hours or so. So
Okay.
I do have some photos that we can show off.
So the camera that we're talking about is the Fujifilm X Half, which just released this week, and I think it's going to be a really popular camera from Fujifilm. They're already in the market as kind of the go-to point-and-shoot vibey camera, with the X100 series being so popular. And it's interesting too how popular the X100 or the retro point-and-shoot industry has become. And yet, so many other camera companies out there have not replicated this. And I don't know why other companies aren't fully embracing this retro point and shoot thing. The problem with the X100 series has been that it's a little bit expensive. It's definitely a pro camera with a lot of pro features, and it's never available. It's always sold out. It's in the, was it $1,600, I think, is the actual price point for the X100, but you
Yeah.
can't find them anywhere. And if you're buying them on the second hand, sometimes you're spending $2,000 to get one of these cameras. As soon as I saw news of the Fujifilm X Half, I knew I wanted this thing. So I hit pre-order right away, because in the past, Fujifilm cameras just sell out instantly. You know this, Connor.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew this thing's going to sell out like crazy. So I was notified at like midnight, the night that it came out, through my B&H email. It was like, hey, this is live. You can pre-order it. So I went ahead and pre-ordered it like 2 minutes after it went live. So I figured, okay, I'm in the queue. I'll probably be one of the first people to get this. I was super excited. I didn't watch anything. I didn't see any reviews. I just pre-ordered it right away. After reading the specs on B&H, I was like, this looks awesome. But things took a turn as soon as I started watching some of the video reviews. As cool as this thing is, I wasn't as stoked when I saw the image quality coming out of it. But there's so many things about this camera that I love. Let's talk about it. I mean, what do you want to say?
Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit specs with the Fujifilm X Half so that we're all on the same page. It is a tiny little film inspired camera. So much so that it has a film advance lever on a digital camera. That
Amazing.
is very strange. Actually, how it functions after using it is pretty fun. It's actually really fun. When you turn on the camera, it actually pops out a little bit. And then from there, if you push in the advanced lever after it pops out, it actually takes you to like a preview of your last photo. So you can chimp that way. So it's really dumb, but that was really fun, I should say. And then additionally, you can put it into a film mode. And basically what that means is you're locked in just like a film camera. If you load in a roll of film, you have to shoot 36 exposures. And in this case, you can shoot up to 72 exposures. And you can't look at the photos, and you can't switch your film stock. You can't do anything until you shoot all of those photos, and then it actually puts it into like a celluloid reel, which is actually a pretty cool presentation. Very unique idea. Additionally, this is a 1-inch half frame sensor. So
Mm-hmm.
if you know anything about film photography, you know that there are half frame cameras. So it takes a 36 roll of regular 35 millimeter film. It only exposes half of it at a time. You advance it, you expose the other half. So you have two pictures on one frame of film. So you actually have to do 72 photos to get through all of your photos. This is the first time we've ever seen that. And even the screen on the back of the Fujifilm X Half is vertical. Very strange,
Mm-hmm.
very minimalistic. There's almost no buttons on the back of the camera at all, which actually makes navigating through the menus, in my opinion, a little bit tough. I wish they gave us at least a joystick so we can navigate the menus. That's not the case. It's all touchscreen. You swipe around, is what it is. And then on the left side, if you're looking at it, you have a little preview screen of what film simulation you have selected. And they have quite a few of them in there. They're pretty cool. And you can actually swipe through them on that. It's a touchscreen as well. So pretty cool. No
It's
raw
right here
photos.
in the picture.
You actually cannot take a raw photo. It's film sims only. You can't customize the film sims. It's as they are. Super weird, super unique, super fun. Not sure if
Yes.
it's worth the price, though. That's what we're here to talk about.
Okay, so this camera to me at first was like everything I was looking for, because as a dad, as a person with little kids, I'm always wanting a way to just capture memories. I'm not too focused on the best photo quality in the whole wide world, but I do, because I'm a stickler and because I'm a photographer, I do want something that's halfway decent. And so the lack of raw photo capabilities kind of was already a bit like, well, I do like having the ability to edit in RAW. And I wonder if they would give us that in a firmware update at some point. I don't know if Fuji will or won't, but it does seem like part of the philosophy of this camera is to have it bake in these film profiles. All the other things about it seem super fun. And to be honest, as a father of a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, both of them would love this camera. I was even thinking like, this could be a really fun camera to hand off to one of my kids and say, hey, go take some pictures. It's definitely overkill, mostly because of the price point, but it really is a wonderful way to teach photography, to teach specifically like what it means to have good composition. Like, it's a fixed lens, so you don't have to worry about zoom. It's very easy to put in the automatic modes. So you really could hand this off to a child, and they're not going to get distracted with the back of the screen when you go into the film mode. And you can kind of explain and teach them about film. And I think it's a really interesting idea. And the optical viewfinder it's not looking through the lens. It's the old fashioned kind of like disposable camera format, which is the little window that you're looking through is the same focal length, in terms of distortion and whatnot of what the lens is. So you can at least frame it, and it's, really close to the lens. So, it's roughly what the lens is seeing, but you are going to have issues where, especially if you get really close to something, when you're framing it through the viewfinder, you have to kind of be aware of the fact that the lens is offset from the viewfinder. Is there frame lines inside of there to correct for that, Connor?
There are not.
Okay, so
And
it's
I
really
will say,
it's a piece of glass that you're looking through. Then that's all it is.
I didn't like put 2 and 2 together, so I was shooting one of the film rolls, and when I got them back from developing, I I noticed that a ton of them were off center. Like, I was like, oh, I'm making sure that I'm lining everything up, making sure it's all centered, because in my head, I don't know why, I should have known that it's off the lens, so of course it's not going to be perfectly center. Sometimes it was, though, so I'm not sure if that was the angle I was happened to be looking through, or if it's a distance thing. But yeah, a lot of my photos were off center.
Yeah, so I think why I was so instant to buy this camera was I was looking through the viewpoint of like, oh, well, a 1-inch sensor can be good. I've seen really good 1-inch sensors. The RX100 line, the ZV-1 line from Sony, great sensors, 1-inch. The new Canon V1 camera is getting a lot of praise. That camera is a 1-inch sensor. The original G7X was so revolutionary at the time for vloggers and content creators, 1-inch sensor. I don't have any problems with a 1-inch sensor. So I was kind of thinking, okay, the X100 camera, I can't get it. It's it's too expensive to be a dad camera, everyday camera for me.
The GFX 100 RF, I believe.
That's a medium format version of the X100 essentially, but it's got a slower aperture lens. As cool as it is, medium format, it's just way out of anybody's real logical price point. So to me, I was looking at, okay, 1-inch sensor, I can live with that. Half the price of a X100, and it's available now, and it's smaller and lighter, and it's got a cool film simulation mode thing. Cool. Sign me up. Ordered. But then when you really look at the images, I was like, wait a minute. When you put it next to an iPhone image, especially I use iPhone Pro RAW quite a bit. I really love the detail that I get when I switch to the 48 megapixel RAW mode on my iPhone 15. I'm getting actually pretty similar bokeh to a 1-inch sensor on the newer iPhones. It's in my pocket 24/7. I have options to download other apps and I want to talk about it. an app called Dispo, which is very similar to this concept. You take a photo, it simulates a film camera, you take the picture, and you have to wait to develop it. You can turn it off with, if you want, but like, I have to wait till tomorrow to see the image. It develops the film image, and there's tons of different film emulation. There's other apps like it on the market, but this is a real little camera with like a little eyepiece, and you can put around your neck, and like I love all that, but it's not good enough for me as a like nerdy dad. Like the quality is actually too bad for me to justify spending that kind of money on it.
Yeah.
But where I think this fits in perfectly is the like 20 somethings who are in college or they just graduated high school and they're living in New York City and they're like excited about their vibey lifestyle where they're hanging out with friends on weekends and going to parties, and like they could show up with this thing and they're the cool kid that has this really cool like film developing app thing. That like if I was 22 years old, this would be an instant buy. So yeah. So there's my rant, but it's not worth the price to me because I feel like the quality just isn't there to justify it. It's not an X100 for half the price with a 1-inch sensor. It's a very cheap kind of point and shoot toy camera to me, but it looks really, really cool.
I have photos, so I'm going to show some photos because you're talking about the quality. I think it's only fair to show the actual pictures that I got off the thing. Yep. And let's start by talking about, or at least from my perspective, what makes it interesting and what makes it good and what makes it fun. So we'll do that. And then I'm going to talk about, after using it, what are the things that I found to be either annoying or bad, just straight up. So after you shoot your 36 exposures in the film mode, this is what it gives you. And it's actually a high resolution file. So the idea is like you can actually zoom in and you can kind of look around at all the random pictures you took, which is super fun. Also, apparently, this is telling you like it was Fuji, and then I was shooting a nostalgic negative. So you can see what film stock, so to speak, you chose. So this is pretty cool. This is an example of, I centered this little smiley face, and you can see how far over it is on the frame. So this is why I think people are going to buy it, for as dumb as it is because you get this. And people are craving nostalgic authenticity. And I will say that this camera has that in spades. So if that's all you care about, this camera definitely has it. And I'll go ahead and open up just some actual pictures so you can see the quality a little more up close. Yeah, so these are some of the photos that you actually can get. I can zoom in on it. You can see all this grain. You can choose to turn on or off the grain or how strong or weak it is. I believe this is set to small grain but strong or something like that. So you can see it's quite a lot of grain. But the photo itself, actually, like, the quality looks pretty good in a way. In that it looks bad, but in a good way. And then also you can choose whether or not you want to have the date and time on there. I actually quite enjoy that it puts a date on the photo. Something else that's cool is that you'll notice that I have all.
Is that Kitty?
Yeah, it's Kitty. I got to see her again. It was really great.
I haven't seen her in forever. How's she doing?
She seemed to be doing great. It was really cool to see her again. But you'll notice these light leaks. That's also a filter mode that you can do. So they have film stocks and then they have filter modes, and they're completely separate. You cannot combine them. I asked if that's something that could come in the future because I like the light leaks. I think they're fun, but you can only shoot that with Provia. You can't do it with like classic negative or nostalgic negative or anything. Another thing that's interesting is that you can do these. The camera makes these for you. So it's like it doubles the frame. So again, it's a half frame camera. So the concept of that is, you take a photo, you have a photo on the left, take another photo, you have the photo on the right, and they're just in the same frame. Yeah. You get to decide how this works. So if you're in the regular capture mode, you take a picture and you like it, you can go into the playback and then advance the lever. And then it'll be like, okay, the next picture you take will be married to that photo. So you can kind of like do it yourself. You can also choose it in the app if you want to, or you can just advance the lever and then it'll go into that mode. And then it's just, you take the picture. I think you take another picture and then it puts those together. So a little complicated, but it does work pretty well. And you can choose if you want it to have a black in between, white in between. If you want it to look like a tear in the middle, there's all kinds of stuff. So it's fun. The point of this camera is it's fun.
So my problem with it, with my perspective, and maybe with the majority of our audience here, who are, I think, amateur to pro level photographers and filmmakers, is this all seems great, but it's like they basically made a physical iPhone app, is the way I'm kind of thinking about it. Like, it's a cool app built into like an actual physical product.
Yes.
So because a lot of these things that we're talking about, like the light leaks, you can do that on Dispo, you can do that on another app, and they switch them up too. I think with this camera, you can justify, like, if you love disposable cameras, if you love kind of like mid-tier point and shoot cameras, not like your Leica, by the way. You have a really nice Leica point and shoot camera, or the Contax T series of point and shoot film cameras. Those are higher quality than this, I believe, because it's essentially a full frame camera that's the size of this camera.
Yeah.
But it's shooting film. But there are some mid-tier and lower level like point and shoot film cameras. This is probably cheaper than using those film options, because yes, you might spend $30 on a roll or whatever, and that's obviously cheaper than $800. I mean, you just do the math on that. That's only 28 rolls, and you're spending, the same amount of money after you've run through 28 rolls of film as you would on this camera. So if you like the image quality of this and you're already getting an image quality that's similar to this, I think they're doing a pretty good job of emulating film. Fujifilm has a history of doing a really good job with this. You can justify it, I guess. It's like, if this is the vibe that you like, then go for it. But the problem I have with it is, I was really just hoping for take the Fuji X100 and put a smaller sensor in it and make it a little smaller and cheaper, but keep a lot of the other things about the Fujifilm X100 the same, like the raw shooting, that combination of a OVF with like an overlay on top of it, so you could see autofocus points, you could see some settings, or just go all the way and do what they did here and make it like $300 or $400. Like, I think it's too expensive for what it is.
The advanced lever, very fun. Very finicky. I was having, now I'm not sure if we are using pre-pro units or not. That's kind of the nature of going to a lot of these events. You use pre-production units. I did notice that it didn't always advance and you would miss things. Another thing, the autofocus seemed quite slow. It does have face tracking if you want, like face detect and all that stuff, but it in itself seemed slow.
Okay.
It's completely plastic. That made it feel pretty cheap, if I'm being honest. If this camera was exactly as it is, but they gave us the ability to shoot raw photos even on the small sensor, and it had a build design, like a build quality, the same as the X100 series, I think it would be worth the $850. And I will say, as far as digital cameras go, this was probably one of the more fun experiences. That's why I've always been a huge fan of Fujifilm. I've had quite a few Fujifilm cameras myself. And it's for the fun of it. It's a fun camera system that you can also use professionally if you need to. This camera is maybe twice as fun as some other Fujifilm cameras I've used, but it's also like 4 times as cheap feeling. So, like, it's a weird ratio. And I think after talking to a bunch of people, I think that most people said that they're like, I would buy this as it is immediately. Price, like, it's a fair price. I would have just bought it and it would have been super fun, is about $450. That was the average. I saw some people say a little lower. I saw some people say a little higher. I think $450 was about it's plastic. It doesn't shoot raw photos, but it's super fun, super vibey. At $450, I would buy that instead of just using my phone.
Long story short, I canceled my pre-order, even though I could have, because I was in the first 2 minutes of pre-ordering, probably scalped it myself. I don't have a ton of money. So it's like, I can't just justify to my wife, hey, I'm going to flip this later, because I can't tell you how many times I've told her, I'm going to buy this and then sell it later, and I never do. Basically, as a more like amateur to pro level photographer, I'm not interested in this camera. It's too toy-like. So that's why I canceled my order. If it was that price point, but leaning more towards the pro side, I could have maybe justified it. If it was made of aluminum or like made out of metal, if it had the raw shooting capabilities and maybe a little bit more fine control as a pro user, I can maybe justify it. But, and then also after simply seeing the image quality, I'm like, well, you just use an app on my phone and maybe even get better results.
That's the thing is like the lens on there isn't technically that good. It's a 32 millimeter equivalent, which I found to be kind of an awkward focal length. Also, it's just a 2.8 and 2.8 sounds fine, but it's on a 1-inch sensor.
Yeah.
So it's not really that great in terms of the actual bokeh you get, if any, really. It's like, what is that? Like a 5.6, a 6.3 on a full frame?
They may be like underproducing these to create that back order FOMO system that seems to be so popular with Fujifilm cameras. Everybody wants them. They're always sold out. Is this a false thing that they're doing to create hype? I don't know.
We don't know. This is speculation.
Because to me, all three of them is the reason I never pulled the trigger on an X100 is because it had a lot of great features, but just not enough. And it just never captured me from the image quality standpoint of like, wow, that image quality is so good. Like what I've heard you and Zach Mayfield talk about with the S1R2 that has like this kind of mojo and magic to the image quality that makes you want to carry it around and use it. Same with the Hasselblad. Some people say this about Leica, although I personally haven't been that wowed by Leica's image quality per se. It's just more of the prestige and their build quality that's so excellent, and their lenses are so good. So yeah, I feel like that way with all three of these cameras. It seems great on paper, but then like there's nothing really capturing you, as at least for me, to like fall in love with the image quality. And I'm definitely not seeing that with the Fujifilm X Half.
It is one of the more fun cameras I've ever used, though. I will say, like, just like the little, it's like a digital camera. You're like, oh, I gotta advance my frame. Oh, it was kind of fun. Maybe even ridiculous, honestly, but it was fun. Fujifilm does understand though that us as creatives, I think we are craving that analog experience a little bit more because everything is either, this is a funny thing, but it's just true. It's like things are too perfect almost. Yeah. Or, it feels like we're technicians.
Especially with the AI revolution as well. Yeah. Anything that feels more human, we're attracted to right now.
It feels more human. It feels less like we're engineers and more like we're artists again. And I think that's something that's cool. Not to say you can't do amazing art with these modern cameras. Of course you can. But like, there's something about, I have the Olympus right here. This is something I'm going to be messing with soon.
I'm excited about this.
There's something about like, oh, it has a little dial on the front. Why? It's not in a convenient position. I like it though. Yeah. I like it though. It has little knobs on the front. For sure. I like that. So I haven't used this too much yet, but I think there's just something to be said for that. Fujifilm is leading the charge. I also agree. I respect that they have done this. I think it's too expensive, but if it was cheap, I'd buy it immediately. We'll just see. We'll just see. I mean, that's the thing. Again, it's sold out. People are going to buy these things. Influencers are going to use them and flaunt them around.
One of the other reasons why I canceled it was somebody who is a hybrid shooter like myself too, is that the video quality, even though it has a video tab, it seems to be absolutely terrible. Like the autofocus is all over the place. The rolling shutter is garbage. You can't change anything. There's a built-in mic. If you watch Petapixel's review, Jordan Drake talks about the video and he's like, yeah, don't even think that this exists. Don't even consider it. It's so bad.
I disagree.
Really? Okay, tell me about the video. Do you have video examples to show?
I have a video. It looks terrible.
But in all the right ways.
But I disagree. Because of what the camera's for. I mean, like, that's the thing is like this whole camera, like these pictures.
So it's for Instagram stories to be vibey and retro.
We want, like, there's so many Instagram filters that just make your stuff look terrible. So it looks really bad. Also,
and it films vertically by default, right?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me turn off the volume. So look how bad this looks. Also, you can put a photo next to the video. That's cool. That's kind of fun.
That is actually kind of cool.
So, but yeah, it looks terrible. But it also almost looks like it was shot in a different time period, and then
yeah.
early 2000s vibe. But
Yeah, you're right. The fact that there's no stabilization on it, though, it's so wobbly.
yeah,
But show me
that's it.
another. You don't have anything else?
This is the same thing. It gives it to you as a separate file
What about
as
that
well, but that's
2.7?
it.
Is that
Oh, there you go.
okay? Look at that.
Yeah.
It's so shaky. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it looks terrible. It looks absolutely terrible. But that's that's the
do you
point,
get the film?
I think.
Do you get the film profiles built into it?
Yeah, so that
well?
was Eterna.
Okay, so let's put all this aside. Let me just say, here's what I would recommend to a high school or early college age person to do instead of buying this camera. Buy one of these.
Ooh, yeah.
Get a digicam. You get the same effect. You get a built-in zoom, a real actual flash. You can get the same retro vibes if you buy one of these little point-and-shoot cameras that has a CCD sensor. You can get really filmic looking images. The video is going to feel that much more authentically vibey because it actually is decent real video with a built-in zoom. This is a 2004 Sony Cybershot that my in-laws gave me for free because it was in their drawer. You can find that you could just knock on your next door neighbor's door and say, especially if they're older, say, hey, I'm looking for one of these little point and shoot cameras that you used to use in the early 2000s. Do you have any? And I'll pay you $100 for it. And I guarantee you they'll go into their little, like their home office, they'll pull it out of a drawer and probably give it to you for free, even though they actually are selling on eBay for sometimes $300 to $500 because of this vibey new time period that we're in.
Which one is it? Because I'm seeing them as cheap as $60 to like $150 on eBay.
The DSC WX150.
So I'm seeing that camera specifically. Buy it now, 150 to 170, 139, 138.
And it's a whole rabbit hole that you could go down of like
a lot cheaper.
Looking up different point and shoot. They're called digicam now is what people are saying, but you're going to get that exact same retro vibey look and much more control because some of these actually have proper, raw shooting modes, believe it or not, even though they're little point and shoots. And the video quality is going to give you a much more authentically retro look to it because it is a retro camera. So, and they're still pretty easy to use. It's just SD cards and you just stick it in your computer, or you can buy one of those little SD card to USB-C dongles and stick it into your phone and boom, there you go. So if you bring it into your phone, you just use Visco Cam or whatever and add some grain and then call it a day. So I just think like, because you can get these for $60, $100, go to Goodwill, maybe even find one there for $5. Like this type of image quality that the X Half is giving us is not worth $850. It's worth $100 for being honest.
Okay. And then also one other thing that we should definitely point out, again, this camera is a victim of its price because at a certain price, it just becomes a fun thing to have.
Yeah.
You can get this on eBay.
What are you holding?
The Lumix S9.
Oh, yeah, sure.
With a full frame 6K sensor that I'm exposing to the sun. You're welcome. And you can have up to 30-something simulations that you can custom make yourself, or you can get on their app that actually look pretty dang cool. You can shoot in a panoramic, not actually panoramic, what's it called? X-Pan mode. And it's $150 more used than the Fujifilm camera is new. And this thing does open gate video, and it does anamorphics, and it does.
Yeah.
This is a real tool that is also kind of cool looking.
This is literally the first image that Fujifilm put on the X Half website. You know that people thought about this and did it with intention. And it's a terrible example of how like it looks so bad. and this is an $800 camera, that tells you exactly who this is for. This is for the young kind of like influencer type person. I could see Emma Chamberlain being all about this camera, that type of audience. It is not for the pros.
Yeah. I agree. I do think that there's a lot of really great updates that they could do to this camera. In fact, one of the things that the guys told us at the Fujifilm event, who was working for Fujifilm, he was like, what's cool about this is that basically we just mass produced a concept camera.
Yeah.
It's like this was a concept that they were just like,
let's just see what
frick
happens.
it, dude. Let's put it out there. You know,
I love that attitude.
And I like I said, I love and respect this camera. I just wish it was more affordable. That's just it. It's like it was so fun to use. I am gonna try to get my hands on one so I can use it for an extended period of time. This also could be one of those things where it's like the 2 hours I had it maybe just wasn't enough time to truly understand what I'm missing. $850. There's just so many other options out there. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Get a Digicam, have some fun. When this thing comes down, if it ever does, and it's in the $400 price point, it might be more worth it. But I don't see Fujifilm ever dropping the price because it'll probably be sold out constantly.
Yep. I think this is going to be a FOMO cam.
If anybody's watching this video who's like, no, you guys have it all wrong, or that camera is totally for me, this is exactly what I've been looking for, please comment down below. We will respectfully have a conversation about it, because I am actually curious to know if anybody out there is like, no, this is perfect and here's why. Please tell me, because I would like to meet you and know who you are, because I think it's interesting.
Yeah, it's all opinion, guys. That's all it is.
Yeah, exactly.
We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. And hopefully this keeps going.
Bye.
Bye.